So, you're gearing up for a big exam. It's a huge journey, right? But what if I told you that the path is full of really predictable traps? Well, knowing where those are is pretty much half the battle. Today, we're going to decode the 8 most common pitfalls that trip up even the smartest students. And more importantly, we'll show you exactly how to step right around them.
So what's the real secret here? What actually separates the people who succeed from those who don't? It's almost never about who studies the hardest. It's about who studies the smartest. The biggest difference, honestly, comes down to avoiding a few powerful but totally predictable mistakes.
Okay, check this out. This mind map is basically our guide for today. It lays out the 8 biggest reasons people fail, and this is based on analyzing tons and tons of attempts. We're going to use this as our blueprint to really understand each trap and, figure out how to flip it into a strength. First up is strategy, and this is, without a doubt, the foundation of everything. Without a solid plan, all those late nights, all that hard work, it can just be completely pointless. It's kind of like trying to build a house without a blueprint. You have to know where you're going before you even start. And here we have 2 of the biggest mistakes when it comes to strategy. On one side, you've got a total lack of direction. Just grabbing a book and starting to read with no real plan. And on the other, you see poor balance. This is such a classic mistake, pouring all your time and energy into general studies, but then totally neglecting things like CSAT or current affairs. Both of these are just a recipe for disaster. So, the fix? You've got to build a clear, balanced roadmap right from day one. I'm talking about a schedule that actually gives every single subject the attention it needs. It maps out your whole journey. And believe me, this isn't about being restrictive, it's about freedom. It lets you focus on learning instead of worrying about what to do next. Okay, now let's talk about your toolkit, your resources. A brilliant strategy is only as good as the materials you use to actually make it happen. And picking the right books and notes, that is not a small detail. It's an absolutely critical decision. First things first, standard sources. What are they? Well, these are the tried and true textbooks and materials that are going to build the bedrock of your knowledge. The big trap here is getting distracted by random notes you find online or some new shiny material. Stick to the core. Seriously, it's what works. And this brings us to PYQs, or previous year questions. You need to think of these as the exam's DNA. They are literally your best guide to understanding what the exam actually wants from you. The patterns, the question styles, what the examiners are focused on. Ignoring these, it's like trying to navigate a maze blindfolded. This really brings it all together, doesn't it? It's a perfect partnership. Your standard books, they tell you what to study. That's the syllabus. But the PYQs, they tell you how to study it, what's important, what's not, and how to connect the dots. You absolutely 100% need both. They're 2 sides of the very same coin. All right, on to our next section, practice. This is where your grand strategy and all those great resources meet the real world. It's all about those daily habits that turn what you know into what you can actually do on exam day. So the 2 big traps here are super simple, but they can absolutely sink your prep. First is neglecting to do multiple choice questions every single day. It's not just about getting answers right. It's about building that mental muscle. And the second one, inconsistent revision. This is the silent killer of so many good efforts. Let's just focus on that revision point for a second. Being inconsistent with your revision is hands down the #1 reason all that knowledge you worked so hard for just evaporates by the time you're sitting in the exam hall. You put in all the hours, but the information just kind of leaks away. So, what's the solution? How do you stop this leaky bucket effect, where you're constantly pouring new info in the top, but all the stuff you learned last month is just trickling out the bottom? How do you plug the holes? The answer is to have a system. It's that simple. First, you got to schedule it. Make revision a non-negotiable part of your day, just like brushing your teeth. Second, use active recall. That means you have to test yourself. Don't just reread your notes. Make your brain work to pull the information out. And third, space it out. Review topics at bigger and bigger intervals. That's how you lock it into your long-term memory for good. And finally, let's talk about the mind game, your attitude. This is the psychological battle, and honestly, it is every bit as important as your study plan or your resources. This is the part people often forget, but it can make or break you. And in the attitude department, you see 2 really dangerous extremes. On one hand, you have crippling fear. seeing the exam as this unbeatable monster. That just leads to anxiety and procrastination. But on the other hand, you have total complacency, like thinking a paper like CSAT will be an easy pass just because it's qualifying. That is a huge mistake. So many great candidates fail right there.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Fear and complacency, they feel like total opposites, but really, they're just two edges of the same sword. And what they have in common is that they both mess with your thinking and lead to really bad decisions.
So what's the healthy middle ground here? It's a balanced mindset. You have to respect the exam, understand that it's tough, know what it demands, but at the exact same time, you have to trust your preparation. You have to have confidence in the consistent daily work you're putting in.
Okay, so we've looked at all 8 traps. Now comes the most important part of all, turning all this insight into your personal plan of action. Let's make this real. So here are the 4 areas for a quick self-audit. I want you to take a second and be really honest with yourself. How's your strategy? Is it clear? Is it balanced? How about your resources? Are you using the right tools for the job? What about your practice? Are those daily habits really there? And finally, your attitude. Is it helping you or is it holding you back?
And that brings us to our final question for you today. After looking at those 4 areas, which single one are you going to focus on strengthening, starting right now? Look, don't try to fix everything all at once. Just pick one, because making one small, deliberate improvement, that's the real first step on the path to success.